For 400 to 500 years, we believed the Great Pyramid was a pharaoh's final resting place. But new scientific evidence reveals a staggering truth. It functions as an energy machine. What was its true purpose? And what does this discovery mean for our civilization? If you believe history holds more secrets, subscribe and join our analysis of these earth-shattering findings. Today, we are going to talk about something so unbelievable, so completely fascinating that even our most brilliant scientists still cannot fully explain it. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine you are standing in the middle of a vast, empty desert. The golden sands stretch out in every direction as far as you can see. The hot wind blows against your face, and it feels like it is carrying the whispers of an ancient time, an ancient civilization. And there, right in front of you, stands something so massive, so absolutely perfect, that you can hardly believe your own eyes. It is a structure that has stood in this very spot for more than 4,500 years. It has watched empires rise and fall. It has survived powerful storms, terrible wars, and the quiet passing of time itself. Yes, my friends, I am talking about the Great Pyramid of Giza. It is so much more than just a building. It is a mystery. It is a puzzle that has confused scientists, archaeologists, and historians for centuries. How was it built? How did ancient people without any of our modern technology lift millions of huge, heavy stones and place them with such amazing perfection? Why did they build it? And is there something still hidden deep inside that we have not yet found? This is only the beginning of our journey today. Please stay with me until the very end, because what you are about to hear will change the way you see history forever. Let's travel back in time together. We are going back 4,500 years to the land of the pharaohs, the land of ancient Egypt. In this time, there was a king. This king was so powerful that his people did not just see him as a ruler. No, they believed he was a living god on earth. His name was Khufu, sometimes also known as Cheops, and Khufu wanted something that no other king had ever had before him. He wanted a monument that would last for eternity, forever. But this was not going to be just any monument. It had to be the biggest, the strongest, and the most perfect structure ever built by human hands. It had to be something so grand that people thousands of years in the future would look at it and wonder, how was that even possible? And so he ordered his people to begin building what we now know as the Great Pyramid of Giza. It was a challenge that seemed completely impossible. Just think about it for a moment. In that time, there were no trucks, no large cranes, no modern power tools. The pyramid was built using about 2.3 million blocks of stone. Can you picture that over 2 million stones? And each stone was incredibly heavy, weighing between 2.5 and 15 tons. That is as heavy as 2 large elephants. The total weight of the entire pyramid was 6.5 million tons. Its height was 146.6 meters, or about 481 feet. That is as tall as a modern 50-story building. And yet every single one of those stones was placed with perfect mathematical precision. It is so perfect that even today, with all of our amazing technology, we could not easily build it again. But wait, here is where the mystery becomes even deeper, even more confusing. This entire enormous pyramid was built in just 20 years. Now let's think about that with some simple numbers. There were 2.3 million stones used. The work took 20 years. If you do the math, it means that the workers had to place a new stone every 2 to 3 minutes. They had to do this every day and every night without stopping for 20 years straight. How did they do it? How did they lift such heavy stones so high into the air without cranes? How did they transport these tons and tons of heavy stone across the sandy desert without any modern vehicles? And maybe the most important question of all is, why? Before we try to answer these big questions, let's talk about the people who built it. For a long time, many people believed that the pyramids were built by slaves, thousands of people forced to work day and night against their will. But this is not true. Archaeologists have found clear evidence that shows the workers were actually skilled laborers. They were engineers, and they were craftsmen. They were not treated like slaves at all. In fact, they were given good food to eat, shelter to live in, and even medical care if they were hurt. They lived together in well-organized villages that were built right next to the pyramid. These workers were respected members of their society because they were building something amazing. Something that would make their civilization immortal. But even with thousands of skilled and dedicated workers, the big questions still remain. How did they build the pyramid? This is where we find the greatest theories and the greatest mysteries. Over the years, many smart scientists and engineers have tried to explain how the ancient Egyptians could have moved and lifted these giant stones. Here are some of the most famous theories. One idea is called the ramp theory. Did they build giant ramps? This is one of the most common theories. It suggests that the Egyptians built huge long ramps made of mud bricks and limestone. Workers could have then dragged the heavy stones up these ramps using strong wooden sleds and ropes. To make it easier, they might have poured water on the sand in front of the sleds. This would reduce the friction and help the sleds move more easily. This sounds like a reasonable idea, but there is a big problem. If these ramps really existed, they would have had to be even bigger and longer than the pyramid itself. Building the ramps would have been as much work as building the pyramid. And yet, we have never found any solid evidence that these giant ramps ever existed. So could there be a different explanation? This brings us to another the internal spiral ramp theory. Was there a secret ramp inside the pyramid? This theory suggests that the ramps were not outside the pyramid, but inside it like a secret spiral staircase. Instead of building enormous external ramps and then taking them down, the workers could have created hidden tunnels that went up and up inside the pyramid itself. They could have used these tunnels to transport the stones upwards as they built higher. This would explain why we don't see any remains of large ramps today. But again, just like the first theory, there is no physical proof that these internal tunnels exist. It is a fascinating idea, but we don't know for sure. A third idea is the water transport theory. Did they float the stones to the pyramid? Some experts believe that the ancient Egyptians were very clever and used water to help them. In ancient times, the Great Nile River was much closer to where the pyramids are today. The Egyptians could have built canals like small rivers to bring the water even closer to the construction site. Then, they could have used large boats to float the massive stones from the stone quarries to the base of the pyramid. This might explain how the heavy stones were transported across long distances, but it still does not explain the biggest problem, how they were lifted so high into the air. And now, we come to the biggest question of all. Why was it built? The official explanation, the one you will find in most history books, is that the Great Pyramid was built as a tomb for the Pharaoh Khufu. Inside the pyramid, there is a special room called the King's Chamber. His body was supposed to be placed in this room after he died to rest there for eternity. But something about this story doesn't make sense. What if I told you that the Great Pyramid is not just an empty building? What if I told you that there are hidden chambers, strange tunnels, and unexplained discoveries that scientists still cannot understand? When you look at the Great Pyramid from the outside, it looks like a solid, massive structure made of stone. But inside it is far more mysterious. There are three main chambers that we know of inside the pyramid: the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, and a lower room called the subterranean chamber. But the real mystery is not just these rooms themselves. It's the hidden passages, the secret tunnels, and the strange doorways that seem to lead to nowhere. At the very heart of the Great Pyramid, you will find the King's Chamber. It is a dark, silent room made completely of red granite. This is a very hard type of stone, so hard that even our modern tools have trouble cutting it. And inside this special room, there is only one object, a gigantic empty stone box, a sarcophagus. This is where Pharaoh Khufu was supposed to be buried. But when the chamber was opened for the first time in modern history, the explorers discovered something shocking. The sarcophagus was empty. There was no mummy, no treasure, absolutely nothing. And here is something else that is very strange. The sarcophagus is too big to fit through the narrow passageways that lead into the chamber. This means it must have been placed inside the room before the rest of the pyramid was built around it. Some people believe this room was never meant to be a tomb at all. But if it was not a tomb, then what was it for? Another strange room inside the pyramid is called the Queen's Chamber. But here is the interesting thing: no queen was ever buried here. It's just a name that was given to the room. From this chamber, two small shafts, like small tunnels, go upwards into the stone, but they don't seem to go anywhere. They are too small for a person to fit inside. For many years, nobody knew why they were built or where they led. They were just another piece of the puzzle. Connecting the different chambers inside the pyramid is a long, tall passage called the Grand Gallery. It is one of the strangest and most impressive places inside the entire pyramid because its design is unlike anything else in ancient Egyptian buildings. The walls rise at a perfect steep angle, creating a powerful feeling and an optical illusion. The passage is also exactly aligned with certain stars in the night sky. Some people believe it was not just a simple hallway, but something much more. Was it a kind of power chamber? Was it built to carry some kind of energy? Was it part of a scientific or religious machine that we no longer understand? Nobody knows for sure. And the mysteries do not stop there. In 2017, using very advanced scanning technology, scientists made a shocking discovery. They found that there is another massive hidden space inside the pyramid. It is a huge room or void so big that it is even larger than the King's Chamber. And yet no one has ever been inside it. Nobody knows how to enter it. We don't know what is inside or why it exists. But here's the part that many people find very strange. The Egyptian government has forbidden any more investigation into this hidden space for now. What could be inside this lost chamber that they do not want the world to see? Some people believe it could contain amazing ancient artifacts with secrets that could change our understanding of history. It could be the real burial place of Pharaoh Khufu. Or it could hold something far more mysterious. But for today, it remains sealed, a secret hidden in the stone. Now here is something that might blow your mind. Scientists have discovered that the Great Pyramid seems to create a strange energy field. In 2018, a team of researchers found that the pyramid can concentrate electromagnetic energy in some of its chambers. It acts like a giant lens focusing energy. Some people believe this is proof that the pyramid was not just a tomb. It was built for a much greater purpose. Was it a type of power generator? Was it used to connect with the stars? Was it built using some kind of lost knowledge that we do not understand today? Have you ever wondered why we are using such modern technology to explore the pyramid? It's because the old secrets are so well kept. Have you ever heard of the Dendera light? It's another ancient Egyptian mystery that some people believe proves the Egyptians had electricity. And did you know that the Great Pyramid is technically taller than many modern skyscrapers if we consider the foundation that is hidden beneath the sand? For thousands of years, people have tried to explore every part of the Great Pyramid, but many areas are still sealed off and hidden from us. The pyramid has tiny tunnels that are far too small for any human to enter. Some of them lead to unknown places, and no one knows what is inside. That is why in recent years, scientists have started using advanced robots to go where no human has ever gone before. One of the most famous robots that was sent into the pyramid was called Jedi. It was a small, remote-controlled robot with a camera on the front. It was designed to explore those narrow, mysterious shafts inside the Queen's chamber. When scientists sent the robot into one of the tunnels, it traveled through a space so small that no human had ever been inside. As it moved forward, it reached a tiny stone door. The door had two small copper handles on it. This was already very strange because nobody understood why such a small, perfect door would exist deep inside a pyramid. The robot used a small drill to make a tiny hole in the stone door. Then it sent an even smaller camera through the hole to see what was behind it. What it found was shocking. Behind the first door was a small, hidden chamber. But instead of finding a new passage or an empty space, the camera discovered something very unusual. There were red markings on the walls that looked like ancient symbols. These symbols had never been seen before, and nobody knows what they mean. Some people believe they are secret codes left by the pyramid's builders. Others think they could be evidence of a lost knowledge. And here is something even more surprising. Another robot was sent into a different shaft, and it found yet another hidden door leading to another unknown chamber. Why would the ancient Egyptians create these secret rooms inside the pyramid that nobody could ever enter? Were they trying to hide something important? And why is it that even today, after all of our amazing modern technology, we still cannot unlock the pyramid's full secrets? One of the most fascinating discoveries about the Great Pyramid is its exact location on our planet. If you look at a map of the world, you will see that it is built almost precisely at the center of the landmass of the Earth. If you take a world map and you measure the distance from the Great Pyramid to the North Pole, the South Pole, and to the east and the west, you will find that it is placed perfectly in the geographical center. The Great Pyramid is also aligned perfectly with true north. Even with all our modern tools like GPS, we struggle to align our big buildings with such accuracy. But the ancient Egyptians managed to do it thousands of years ago. The pyramid's position also matches some key mathematical and geographical calculations that seem almost impossible for an ancient civilization to know. This raises a very important question. How did the Egyptians know where the exact center of the Earth was? Did they have advanced knowledge of geography and astronomy? And if they did, where did they get this knowledge from? Some researchers believe this is not a coincidence. They think the pyramid was built in this exact spot for a very specific reason. There is an ancient Egyptian temple called the Dendera Temple, and inside this temple, archaeologists have found something very unusual. It is a carving on the wall that some people believe is proof that the ancient Egyptians had electricity. The carving shows what looks like a giant glass bulb with a long wire connected to a box. Inside the bulb, there is a strange, snake-like shape that looks exactly like a modern electric filament, the same kind that you find inside light bulbs today. But how is this possible? The ancient Egyptians lived thousands of years before electricity was discovered, so how could they have known about light bulbs? Some scientists believe that the carving is just a religious symbol showing a snake and a lotus flower. But others think it could be real evidence that the Egyptians used some kind of advanced lighting technology inside their pyramids and dark temples. After all, inside the Great Pyramid, there are no signs of soot or smoke on the walls. This means they did not use fire torches to light the long passageways. So how did they see? Some researchers believe that the Egyptians may have used some kind of electric lighting to see inside the dark, winding tunnels. If the Egyptians really did have electricity, then this changes everything we thought we knew about ancient history. It would mean they were far more advanced than we ever imagined. Many researchers and historians believe that the pyramids are just too perfect, too advanced, and too mysterious to have been built with only simple tools. So this question comes up: did the ancient Egyptians have help from extraterrestrial beings, from aliens? It may sound unbelievable, like something from a movie, but the more you study the pyramids, the more strange and unexplainable things you will find. Even in today's world, building something like this would be an engineering nightmare. The Great Pyramid is not just big, it is mathematically perfect. The corners of the pyramid align with the 4 cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, with an accuracy of 0.05 degrees. This is incredibly precise. Some researchers believe the Egyptians had knowledge of advanced physics and engineering that has been lost to time. Others believe something even more shocking: that the pyramids were not built by humans alone. If you look at ancient Egyptian writings, you will find something very strange. The Egyptians often spoke about powerful beings that came from the sky. They described these beings as tall, powerful, and having knowledge that was beyond human understanding. They were known as the Neteru, which can be translated as the Watchers or the Guardians. According to ancient Egyptian mythology, these beings came from the heavens and taught humanity how to build, how to farm, and how to understand the universe. They were described as having great powers, advanced tools, and the ability to fly. Now here is the question we must ask: were these gods just a myth, a story they told? Or were they real beings who visited Earth thousands of years ago? Some people believe that these Neteru were actually extraterrestrial visitors, beings from another world who came to Earth to help humanity build the pyramids and other great structures. Inside many ancient Egyptian temples, you can find drawings and carvings that seem to show strange otherworldly beings. Some of these carvings show figures with long, elongated heads, large eyes, and strange suits that look a lot like modern-day astronaut gear. One of the most famous sets of carvings is found in the Temple of Abydos. Their hieroglyphs show images that look exactly like a helicopter, a spaceship, and a futuristic aircraft. Skeptics and mainstream historians say that these carvings are just misinterpretations, that they are older hieroglyphs that were plastered over and recarved. But others believe they are clear evidence that the ancient Egyptians saw something they could not explain, and so they recorded it in their art. Could it be that these figures were not just imaginary gods, but real extraterrestrial visitors? One of the most mysterious facts about the Great Pyramid is its connection to the stars, specifically the Orion constellation. If you look at the 3 pyramids of Giza from above, from a bird's-eye view, you will notice something incredible. They perfectly align with the 3 stars in Orion's belt. This alignment is so precise that many researchers believe it was not an accident. It was planned. According to the ancient Egyptians, their gods, particularly Osiris, the god of the afterlife, came from Orion. They believed that the souls of the pharaohs traveled to Orion after death to join the gods. Did the ancient Egyptians simply imagine this story? Or did they have real knowledge of something beyond our Earth? Some researchers believe that the pyramids were built as a kind of signal to the stars, possibly as a message to those who came from Orion. Could it be that the ancient Egyptians were trying to communicate with extraterrestrial beings? Or perhaps they were following the instructions of visitors who came from that very constellation. Historians often say that human civilization developed very slowly over a long time. But when you look at ancient Egypt, something strange happens. About 5,000 years ago, humans were living in simple villages. They were farming and making small homes. But then suddenly, around 400 to 500 years ago, Egypt became a very advanced civilization almost overnight. They started building massive pyramids. They created advanced mathematics and engineering. They had knowledge of astronomy that even we struggle to understand today. It is almost as if someone gave them this knowledge. Someone who already knew how to build these massive structures, how to measure the stars, and how to calculate complex mathematical equations. Could it be that this knowledge did not come from humans alone? When you examine the stones of the Great Pyramid up close, you will notice something incredible. The cuts on the stone are so smooth and so precise that they seem to have been made with advanced tools, possibly even laser-like instruments. Modern engineers say that to get that kind of precision today, we would need to use high-powered saws or laser-cutting machines. But how did the ancient Egyptians do it with simple copper tools? Some experts believe that the ancient Egyptians used a lost technology that we have not yet rediscovered. Others believe they may have had help from beings who had access to these advanced tools. Could this be evidence that aliens provided the ancient Egyptians with technology far beyond their time? For thousands of years, the Great Pyramid has stood like a silent guardian, watching over humanity, holding its secrets deep within its stones. Scientists, archaeologists, and historians have studied it for centuries, but the more they discover, the more mysterious it becomes. And the Great Pyramid is not the only mysterious structure in the world. The pyramids in Mexico, built by the Mayan and Aztec people, look almost identical to the Egyptian pyramids. The pyramids in China, many of them still hidden beneath forests, are built with the same mathematical precision as the ones in Egypt. The pyramids of Bosnia, which were only recently discovered, are thought to be even older than the Great Pyramid. These civilizations were thousands of miles apart. They had no way of communicating with each other, and yet they all built the same kind of structures with the same mathematical knowledge, and they aligned them with the same stars. Is this all just a coincidence, or is it evidence that someone or something was guiding them all? The Great Pyramid is not just a monument. It is a message. It is a symbol of something far greater than we can imagine. It reminds us that there is still so much we do not know about our own past. It teaches us that human potential is far beyond what we sometimes believe. If ancient civilizations could achieve such impossible things, then what are we truly capable of today? Maybe the pyramid is challenging us. Maybe it is telling us, do not stop questioning. Do not stop searching. The truth is out there waiting to be found. The mystery of the pyramids is more than just history. It is a lesson. It is a lesson that reminds us to dream bigger, to push further, and to never accept the limits that the world places on us. Because the real power is not in the heavy stones of the pyramid. The real power is in the human mind. The ability to think, to question, and to believe in the impossible. Maybe one day we will finally unlock the final secret of the pyramids. Or maybe the pyramids were never meant to give us all the answers. Maybe they were meant to inspire us, to encourage us, to always ask better questions. Thank you for listening.